guys, it's Bunny and welcome to today's video and welcome to another WWE reaction. This video was recommended by Derif C and Fan, and he said, Bunny, you should watch the video from Age of Wrestling, the time Kenny Omega wrestled a 9-year-old girl. What? Oh my god, is this even true? There is a video and it exists. It's by Age of Wrestling, the time Kenny Omega was... Oh my god, Kenny Omega is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but he also wrestled a 9-year-old girl in Japan in 2011. This is the story of that match. It was a match. People sat and watched it. It was consensual. Okay, let's go and check the video.
Kenny Omega is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today
and
has left an indelible impact on the wrestling world through his outstanding wrestling ability and masterful storytelling. However, despite him having a brilliant career that has spanned over 2 decades, there's a black mark on his career that has haunted him to this very day. Of course, it's the time he wrestled a 9-year-old girl in Japan. Some people view this as not a big deal and a testament to his...
What do you mean it's not a big deal? I mean, if it is a show for kids, like he is not really wrestling, like just pretending to be wrestling, I understand. It's not a big deal. It's like bringing consciousness to children about wrestling and how fun it could be and as a career path and sport. But if it's an actual match and oh my god, he's carrying her.
His impeccable wrestling ability, while others view this as a disgrace to wrestling and proof that Kenny Omega is a predator. Is this the case of a bold wrestler proving how good he is by wrestling a little 9-year-old girl? Or is it the case of a man who was 28 years old at the time, creepy on a 9-year-old girl by wrestling her and bearing the wrestling?
Okay, I would not really go on this point of creeping on her. He's just wrestling her. Like, you can clearly see he's doing wrestling moves. There is nothing creepy there, you guys. The only issue is the watchers, the audience. There might be some people who are watching this and deciding to make it in a creepy way. Like, they are the ones who are enjoying it and fantasizing about it in a different aspect. But what we see here, I clearly do not see something naughty happening.
Industry in the process. This is the story behind Kenny Omega wrestling a
Japan
9-year-old girl.
can be really weird sometimes.
Kenny Omega was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and he had a love for wrestling from a very early age. Kenny was involved in various sports while growing up, and he began training for wrestling at 15 years old. Not before long, he began wrestling on the Canadian independent circuit. After a few years, he eventually got the attention of WWE and was invited for a week-long tryout, where he impressed the right people and was offered a developmental WWE contract, of which Kenny accepted. In WWE's developmental territory, Deep South Wrestling, Kenny Omega was subjected to the infamous harsh and inhumane trainings of Bill DeMott. This was a red flag for Kenny, as well as the WWE style of doing things by stripping away everything that made a wrestler unique and making them just like everyone else. Because of this, he didn't see a future in WWE, so he requested his release in 2006, of which WWE obliged. After Kenny was released from WWE, he was lost for a while, trying his hand at MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Eventually, he chose to come back to wrestling, and because he was very influenced by games and anime growing up, he decided to showcase that in his new otaku-inspired character. Despite this character change and new moveset, Kenny Omega was still lost. He was lost, that is, until he saw a video of Kota Ibushi wrestling in the Japanese
Kota was
promotion,
awesome.
DDT. Kenny Omega saw wrestling in a light where it could be simultaneously athletic, entertaining, and comedic. And he had a burning feeling that Kota saw wrestling in the same way. So he challenged Kota Ibushi to a match, and just like that, Kenny Omega was on his way to Japan to face Kota Ibushi. Kenny and Kota's first match was critically acclaimed in Japan. Soon after, they formed a tag team called the Golden Lovers, and a romance started to bloom between the two, which even got to a point where Kenny and Kota kissed during their matches.
Kenny Omega's stock in Japan was
they were close and then they weren't. I remember watching this
Kenny Omega
like
put
documentary
himself on
about
the
it
map when he wrestled a blow-up doll named Yoshihiko. There's a saying that goes along the lines that a wrestler is really good at his craft if he can wrestle a broom and make it look good. And Kenny Omega made it look great when he wrestled the blow-up doll, which was testament to how good of a wrestler he was. But if he could wrestle an inflatable blow-up doll and make it look great, then what else or who else could he wrestle that would also look great? The answer to that question is a 9-year-old girl named Haruka from the Stardom Wrestling promotion. In 2011, Stardom was a fresh new wrestling promotion founded by Joshi wrestling legend Nani Takahashi and Rossy Ogawa. Stardom put a lot of emphasis on developing younger talent, with the youngest trainee being Haruka, who was 9 years old at the time. But you may ask yourself, why would they allow a 9-year-old to wrestle? Back then,
Exactly.
it was not so uncommon to see kids younger than 13 wrestling, as seen with current AEW star Riho.
No. I do not see anything wrong in kids wrestling. All right. Now the problem is the audience and how many like people would see it in a different way. That's why they need to protect their children. But maybe not in shows. Maybe if they want to wrestle, they can go and practice like a sport and go on to competitions or something. But wrestling as like pro wrestling entertainment, I don't know really. I understand that putting kids into entertainment business is always a no-no in my opinion.
When she was 9 years old, in a promotion
like it needs to be done really
a wrestler named
correctly.
Chow from the 666 promotion, who debuted when she was around 10 years old. Or a wrestler named Azumi, who debuted for Stardom when she was 11 years old and was part of the same rookie class as Kairi Sane, who now wrestles in WWE. This raises a major ethical question of why there is a demand for these young wrestlers, mainly by older men. There's a thing called the lolicon culture in Japan, in which there is a lewd appreciation of characters who are or
that's
appear
the thing.
to be underage.
That's the thing about Japan.
This is why possession of CP was only criminalized in 2015 in Japan, and the age of consent was raised from 13 years old to 16 years old as recently as 2023. This explains why there is a phenomenon of child idols who are literal children whose fan base consists mostly of middle-aged men, and these men fill up venues where these young girls perform. It's kind of weird, but in essence there's a large...
Oh my god! Why is this for us so, like foreigners, so creepy? To see a grown man like fanning a small girl in that way? I don't know. Is it just me? Like, I guess in Japan it's normal. It's a part of the culture. But me as a foreigner, like, I see many things wrong there. It really doesn't make me feel good inside.
Market for little kids in media, mostly driven by older men. In the case of Haruka, she was a massive fan of professional wrestling and was heartbroken over the fact that other girls were chosen to wrestle, despite her being a bigger fan of wrestling, in her eyes. Due to all of this, Stardom allowed her to wrestle a few matches, but they were about to set the stakes even higher. In the early days of Stardom, they weren't as popular as they are right now, and so they had to make a statement and chose to do so by setting up a match between the 9-year-old Haruka and one of the most famous and trusted foreign wrestlers in Japan at that time, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega said in interviews that prior to the match, he was very nervous because he knew it was a huge risk and could have been a permanent black eye on his career in case he accidentally hurt the little girl, but he decided to press on and have the match with her. The match starts and the bemused Omega, that isn't taking the little Haruka seriously, extends his hand to shake the serious little girl's hand, but she kicks it away with swiftness and she kicks him in the groin and slaps him. Omega is selling for this girl pretty well, and they begin to run the ropes and show off some pretty impressive back and forth before Haruka gets her feet on Omega's shoulders and performs a dizzying spinning hurricane run onto Omega, which shocks and angers him. She then sets him up for a 619 and connects with it. She then tries to go for a crossbody on the shooken Omega, but then he catches her mid-air to give her a vicious backbreaker. Omega then pushes her off him and begins to revel in all of his bastard heel glory, showboating around at all the damage he's done to the 9-year-old girl.
It's kind of entertaining.
And savagely throws her into the turnbuckle twice,
I'm gonna lie,
which looks like
she's
it hurt
doing
Haruka.
so...
He then picked her up in a gorilla press
God, I
and
hope
handles
it
her like
didn't.
she weighs nothing. Probably because she does weigh nothing, and he
yeah,
attempts to throw
exactly.
the little girl out of the ring. But at the last second, the ref puts a stop to this. Haruka then reverses this into a sick tornado DDT and goes for a crossbody from the top rope to the outside, which connects. As Kenny Omega gets back into the ring, he looks dazed and she goes on to kick him right in the face.
Nice.
She quickly goes for the pin, but Omega kicks out with ease. She then runs the ropes and Omega stops her and gives her an enziguri kick, much to the crowd's shock and bewilderment. Omega is now in his element and he picks the little girl's small body up like
No,
a
he
steady
didn't
weight
hurt
and
her
places
at
her on his
all.
shoulders for a deadlift German suplex. But as he has her in position just about to hit the suplex, the bell rings and the time limit of 3 minutes is done. Kenny Omega is visibly disappointed that he couldn't put the little girl away, as he holds her with one hand and casually hands her over to the ref. Like Kenny Omega, she is also disappointed, but Omega once again tries to shake the little girl's hand after the match, but she brazenly slaps Omega and he sadly exits the ring. The intended effect of this match was achieved as the match went viral. It was the talk of the Japanese wrestling world and press, as well as some sports publications in the US like Bleacher Report. This match was very polarizing.
I think her dream came true by
one half of people
this.
were praising the match and holding Kenny Omega as an amazing wrestler that was able to have a match with a 9-year-old and make it look good. But another half of people were calling this match a disgrace and a shame to professional wrestling because it was not believable that a 28-year-old man could not beat a 9-year-old girl. These people argue that it was burying professional wrestling and they saw Omega as a means.
Of course it's not real. But do you want to ruin her dreams? He's literally faking it for her. He's faking it for the dreams of many other girls who want to be a pro wrestler. The whole message is gone here, and I understand why. I understand it's confusing, and probably we will never see something like this happen ever again. Especially in this era and age, all right? But I do kind of understand why they did what they did. Like, why he decided to do it.
Little goals. The most famous of the Omega detractors is Jim Cornette, and he calls the whole thing a mockery of pro wrestling and has accused Omega of being a creep. Jim Cornette has later even said that
why would
Omega
he be
has
a
Japanese
creep?
schoolgirl fetish because of his tendency to work a lot with Japanese women's wrestlers. Cornette even went as far as to wish death and injuries upon Omega because of that match.
Isn't it like in Japan? I don't know, but I have a feeling like it's normal to have a crush on us, like to admit that you crush a schoolgirl, even if you don't do anything like that. I feel like in Japan, it's a different culture. Like, of course, you are not allowed to physically do anything like that, but they're always watching anime and shows. And it's always in the culture that the younger the woman is, the more attractive she is. And he just followed what the culture is telling him. Why are you like so against him? Unless he like actually did something, which I don't know, but because of this saying, oh, he has a tendency, like, don't all Japanese people almost have a tendency to like watch the entertainment? For them, like, guys, what is on TV in Japan is so much different what is here. Like, you can see so many of these things there and it's completely normal. Like, that's how it works there. And they're still one of the most respectful people. And like, what? I don't know. I'm confused. Am I like seeing this the whole way wrong? Am I like now confused?
Stay quiet on what Cornette says, but from time to time, he takes a dig at Cornette. Their beef continues to this day. There are a lot of people that agree with Cornette, and Kenny Omega says that he's gotten many death threats to this day from having this match with Haruka. However, as the old media adage goes, all publicity is good publicity, and it just helped Omega to gain even more fame. After this, Omega's career skyrocketed even more, with him reaching the top of Japanese wrestling and him having some of the greatest matches of all time along the way. He even went on to form All Elite Wrestling AEW, which is WWE's biggest competition in almost 20 years. Sadly, Haruka's wrestling career ended pretty quickly as she retired from wrestling a month after this match and hasn't been around since. As opinion splitting as this match is, it will go down as one of the most controversial and polarizing matches of all time. But that was the time Kenny Omega wrestled a 9-year-old girl. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos.
I really need to see what the people are saying about this. Like, I want to see the comment section and I want to see what they think. What is your opinion on this match? Awesome or too far? I thought it was fine given the context, but it's sad this match gets all the attention and not Leon versus Natsuki Taiyo from the same show, which was an amazing high-speed belt match. Edit. Also, F that racist hick Cornetti. Oh my god. He wrestled a Ninja Turtle and booked a mummy. Okay. To be honest, I never saw anything offensive about their match in the first place because I thought it was funny and game-changing, but unfortunately not everybody in the world agreed with that kind of idea. Also, I'm not the only one. Worst booking. Okay. Well, if it is Lolicon, if that is your thing, basically. I am aware of this crap happening in the USA with those below 10 wrestling grown male or females. I seen the match. It was for a Yakuza crowd probably who was making it for that audience. It's like the thing on here, everybody was all about the working minors. I would wrestle my niece or nephew or cousin, but not this kind of thing. Just protecting them doing the move on the couch or so. Yeah, exactly. Like you would so many times older brothers, siblings, whatever, they would play with their younger kids and like they would go on them and pretend like they're hurt when you actually kick them and you feel so powerful like a small one. You know, like this is so normal. Like that's how I would see it because I'm normal that way. You know, like if I want to see something sexual and something creepy in it, I would see it in almost everything in the world if that is my mindset. It's all about the mindset. So I kind of do understand. Just protecting, doing the moves on the couch or so. Japan has a lot of like borderline things that unless you read Booty Royale will never grasp in the least. Like borderline things in Japan goes together so perfectly. Download said it so perfectly. Like this is what I think myself. Like it depends on the culture. It depends where it was performed. It depends like on so many elements and so many things. So I really do not call this guy Kenny a creep. And I do not think that what he did there was in any kind of way creepy. I just think that it could be interpreted in a creepy way. And maybe it is better to protect from having the capability of interpreting it in a bad way because it's a kid after all, you know, and the kid doesn't know better, you know, and they don't know what kind of consequences it can happen. So I do understand why this didn't continue. But I also, from this exact video that I saw, I don't think there was anything creepy about it. Let me know in the comments what you think, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And also, if you want to share some extra love, you can go to the share button and copy the link. You don't have to share it anywhere. Just copying the link helps the channel tremendously. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Bye!